Can you hear me now? Have I just done that entire thing with no sound? This is why I don't rely on technology to help. Can you hear me now? Have I just been basically talking and no one can hear me? If anybody could let me know before I continue, that would be fabulous. Can you hear me? Right, okay. Microphone. What a bad idea that was. This is why I hate technology. It always creates issues. Okay, so I'll quickly run through what I just said, but no one could hear me because my mic wasn't working. So this coffee table, I'd already done a couple of lives on it, and the veneer was starting to lift. The veneer was already damaged. I thought I could repair it and cover it up, but I couldn't. So we took a different turn. We're going down an industrial kind of rustic route, apothecary, industrial, that kind of vibe. It's a technique that I have done before. If you've followed me for a while, you may have seen a video similar to this. So that's the kind of route that I'm going down, because it's quite a good one to show you how you can cover up those damaged pieces if they are beyond economical repair, or if you've got veneer damage on a piece that the piece fundamentally, there's nothing wrong with it. It was just the veneer on the top and the veneer on the shelf. I think it had water damage before, and that had started to lift. Sometimes you can get away with it and patch it up and stain it, and you never know. This was not the case. Every time I added a product, it was making it worse. So we're going to go the opposite way, and we're going to intentionally make this look old and a bit battered and layers, and kind of disguise that damage, because otherwise, you know, you're kind of fighting with a piece, and sometimes that's just not enjoyable at all. So my first live to create the base of this was over on the Dixie Belle YouTube channel yesterday. You can watch the replay of that. And I applied the base, which is drop cloth, the colour drop cloth in the chalk mineral paint range, and sea spray, which is a texture additive. So you can see all the texture on here. And that's dried down overnight, and that's rock solid. So the important thing with this technique is to let the layers dry down in between. You don't want them to mix. So the next colour that I'm going to put onto this, the red needs to be completely dry. So drop cloth and sea spray was the first layer. Second layer is Honky Tonk red, and I did just say it, but obviously the mic wasn't working. So what I was saying about Honky Tonk red is it's a really, really good coverage red. Notoriously, reds throughout the painting world are quite difficult colour-wise, coverage-wise. So they can take 3, sometimes 4 coats of paint to give you that coverage. Honky Tonk red isn't like that. It covers pretty amazing. So I apologise about the sound at the very start. Last time I rely on a mic. So all I'm going to do is take my premium chip brush, and thank you whoever it was who let me know there was no sound. That would have been a complete failed live, wouldn't it? All I'm going to do is load my brush with Honky Tonk red and basically add places of Honky Tonk red. So the idea with this is it's going to be caviar at the end. It's going to be a black coffee table. But we're going to distress it, and then we're going to see pockets of this colour peeking through. So when you're applying your Honky Tonk red, what you need to bear in mind is, or think about, is where you might want to distress around the edges, around the sides, where pieces are going to get knocked, that kind of thing. So bear that in mind when you are placing your colours. If you don't know, you can paint Honky Tonk red all over your piece. You can do that. But I know that I'm going to be distressing around the edges of here. This is one big drawer. It looks like 2 drawers. It's like a routed bit in the centre that makes it look like 2 drawers, but it's one big drawer. So I'm going to kind of keep with that and make it look like there's 2 drawers. So I'm going to want to put my Honky Tonk red all the way around the edge, And I'm also varying the thickness of how I put this on. I want areas where the paint is really kind of glooped on in areas, because when I distress back, it's almost going to chip away at that thickness, and it's going to look more kind of authentic than if I was to just do one flat coat of Honky Tonk red all over, which again, if you don't know where you might distress a piece, you can still do that. But obviously that can waste paint. And also, when you distress, you might get quite a uniform look to your piece. And when you distress, it kind of looks a little bit more authentic if it's not uniform, if that makes sense. So you can see some areas here where it's really, really thick, then others layers over here where it's super thin and you can see the white colour underneath. That's exactly what I want. I mean, this is a smooth painter's worst nightmare, but that's what I want, because when it gets distressed at the end or towards the end, that is just gonna, it's just gonna add to the authenticness of the piece. Also, it means if you create this, you can create this look 3, 4, 5 times, and because it is kind of random, each piece will look different. But it is a really good piece. It's a really good technique to try out if you've got a piece that is really kind of past its best, because you can kind of work with it and make it look like intentionally like it's supposed to be a little bit battered. And this style has always sold so well for me. Don't take my word for it, because I thought it could just be a fluke that, you know, I've got followers or people that are looking for this kind of furniture and it just so happens that, you know, they follow me or whatever. But a retailer that is in America messaged me the other day and asked if they could share an old video of mine where I'm doing this similar technique. And she basically said that she tried the technique out on a piece of furniture and it sold really, really quickly. So that was across the pond. That wasn't even in the UK. So I was like, nice. So, and the thing is, there isn't really any technique with this. There really isn't, honestly. You can mess this up and you can kind of just roll with it. Like, you can't really get it wrong. Even if you think you've put too much red on, you can correct that at a later stage. You can correct that way down the line. So even if I'd painted this whole thing red and I just thought, oh no, it doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter. You can just kind of correct it later on. So it's quite a forgiving process, technique. So yeah, if you're just catching me live, the first kind of 10 minutes of this live was me talking to you, but there was no volume because my mic wasn't working, which was slightly annoying. You say the video is clearer. That's really good. I wonder if it's because it's that way, because you have to have your phone horizontal for YouTube videos and not vertical. So I wonder if that's why. And also, if you are watching on the replay, just skip forward the first 10 minutes because there's no volume. Just fast forward that. And get to the bit where I unclip the mic off my phone. So all I'm doing is applying it really thickly in areas. I'll zoom you in. Can I zoom you in? There we go. So here, it's so thick. Obviously, that is, if you're looking for a smooth paint finish, don't do that. That's most people's worst nightmare, but I am most people, so there we go. I'm not going to concentrate too much about this base shelf because, one, it's super hard to get a brush in there. It's a bit of an awkward space to get a brush in. Secondly, I don't anticipate I'll be distressing this too much, just because I will concentrate my distress work around the edges, around the edge of the coffee table, around the edges of the drawers, corners, places that it would ordinarily get kind of banged and knocked, just to kind of make it look authentic, if that makes sense. Like I say, there really is there's no skill involved in this whatsoever. I'm laughing when I'm saying it, but it is actually true. And sometimes when the paint's drying down, so obviously I applied this around the drawer edges first. As the paint's drying down, what I like to do is just get my brush and just lightly drag over the thick places of paint, so the thick areas. And what it does is it kind of drags the paint and creates really interesting texture, rather than just it all being, you know, quite thick and in areas and thin in some areas. It just creates like a little bit of interest and variation. Variation is the key with this. I would say that it is definitely kind of paramount to vary your brush direction, how hard you press, the thickness of the paint, all those different kind of things. Variation is the key. And again, a little bit of dry brushing over the top. That's just gonna kind of add to the sort of variation again. Even if you've glooped some where the drawer closes, like here, there's a drip. Don't worry about it. You can sort it out later on. It's fine. The dog's just come to have a look who I'm talking to again. So that's kind of it. And I'm not even going to lie, how quick was that? And it's only taken me longer because I'm talking to you as well. So you can see around the edges, I've kind of done the same. Around the top, what I'm going to do is, again, similar to the shelf, I'll probably just catch the edges of the top and not do too much in kind of the centre area of the top, if that makes sense. Just because the places that I'm going to distress are going to be edges, corners, that kind of thing. So that's that layer. So to recap, coffee table was going to be a quick flip in silk in kind of a modern farmhouse look. It was not going to plan. The coffee table threw some wobblies and the veneer was lifting. So back to the drawing board. And yesterday I did a live on the Dixie Belle YouTube channel where we kind of started again. And I did a base, a really, really heavily textured base of the colour drop cloth from the Chalk Mineral Paint range, mixed with sea spray to give this really kind of rough texture. Then I'm just going over this in certain areas with Honky Tonk red. I'm using a premium chip brush because they promote texture. So if you want a smooth finish, synthetic brushes are kind of your thing. If you want texture and brush strokes and that kind of thing, natural bristle brushes, that's the job of those. And while I'm on, I always get asked the question, do I sell Dixie Belle paint? I don't sell it, no. So I'm a brand ambassador for Dixie Belle. I promote the paint for them. I work with them and promote the paint through my social media channels. If you want to buy Dixie Belle paint, you can go onto the Dixie Belle website, which is a global website. You can access it from anywhere in the world. You can see if there's a local retailer near you, and there are retailers in lots of different countries. They're here in the UK. There's a lot here in the UK. They're in the US, obviously. They're a US brand. They're in Australia. They're in New Zealand. There are retailers in New Zealand. There's also retailers in Europe. If there isn't a retailer near you, you can have Dixie Belle paint delivered to you from the Dixie Belle website, no matter where you are in the world, which is pretty amazing. So if you can't get to a retailer, or if you don't have a retailer in your country, you can get it delivered worldwide. So I thought I'd ask that question because I get asked a lot of times. So next live on this is going to be next Tuesday on the Dixie Belle YouTube channel, 2 o'clock UK time, 9 AM EST. And we're going to be doing the next colour. And if anyone can guess what the next colour is going to be, you can win a pot of Dixie Belle paint. There you go. No, in fact, you can win $50 worth of Dixie Belle paint. So make sure you write in the comments the next colour that you think it might be. And yeah, that'll be a fun little game for people. And that's it. I have been playing with Terra clay paint today, which is all over my hands, but it's been super fun. So hopefully that'll be a video, an actual proper edited video on my YouTube channel this week. So that's it. That's all from me this week. Is just, I've got to let this layer dry before I can do the next layer. I can't really do much else before then. So yeah, get commenting with the colour that you think that I'm going to use next on this piece. If you guess the right answer, you get $50 worth of Dixie Belle paint. To basically any Dixie Belle products on the Dixie Belle website, up to the value of $50. You can win it. No and no. Both of those answers are incorrect, I can confirm. So I'm going to pop off now, because if you comment when I'm live, the comments don't stay on the video. So you need to make sure you comment on the replay. So $50 worth of Dixie Belle products. You can choose off the website. They'll get shipped out to you if you guess the colour that I'm going to use next. And I'll see you next week.